Welcome to the world of stories. This is HRB Verse, where every story is real, heartfelt, and unforgettable. Subscribe now and become part of a journey you'll never forget. My sister ridiculed my $12,000 wedding gift in front of 20 people. So I took it back, ousted my father as CEO, and claimed my grandfather's entire estate. Still attempting to buy affection, she mocked my $12,000 gesture. So I canceled the venue, shredded the check, and removed her name from the wedding plans. Here's how it all began. When the wedding planner demanded a new payment, her fiancé sent me a furious text. It was blatantly rude. She made her comment right after I handed her the folder. About 20 people were present. Her bridesmaids, a few yoga studio friends, some cousins, and our mother. Everyone had just finished their small desserts, and someone had raised a toast to sisterhood, love, and devotion. Perfect timing, right? The folder was a plain navy, unmarked. I thought about wrapping it or adding a ribbon, but it seemed excessive. I didn't want attention. I just wanted to give her something practical to cover the two biggest expenses, the venue and the dress. The extra cash, that was because I knew budgets always overrun. She never asked for it, and I didn't think she needed to. She was my sister, so I handed her the folder and said simply, "Here." She opened it cautiously, as if expecting something sentimental or dull. Then she saw the printouts, the dress credit confirmation, the venue receipt, and the check. She blinked, then she held up the check for everyone to see. "Oh," she said loudly, silencing the room. "Still trying to buy love." Laughter followed, not loud, more like stifled giggles people couldn't hold back. One of her friends even clapped. My face burned. I glanced at our mother, who gave me a brief, familiar look before whispering, "Don't be sensitive. It's just her way." Her way. Her way of humiliating you publicly, turning a generous act into something pathetic. Her way of making you feel foolish for caring too much. Without a word, I took the folder back, saying only, "This is mine." Then I left, no drama, no raised voices. I just walked away. That night, I sat in my apartment, staring at the folder on my kitchen table. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry, but something inside me shifted, like a switch I didn't know existed had been flipped. I made 3 calls. First, the venue. The contract was in my name. I told them to release the date, no refund needed. Second, the boutique. I canceled the dress credit and her gown was released from hold. Third, I tore up the check and burned the pieces over my sink, watching them turn to ash. By morning, I had 10 missed calls. My sister left 4 voicemails, 2 sobbing, 1 shouting, and 1 just saying, "Unreal." Then her fiancé texted me, "You're ruining her big day. Don't insert yourself into something you were never part of." I laughed. I'd only ever inserted myself quietly. I helped them move, lent them money, covered her lies. Watched my parents go all out for her, even when she skipped Thanksgiving 3 years running. I didn't reply to the texts or calls. She had 3 weeks to sort it out. The venue quoted her $7,000. The dress? Gone. The planner refused to proceed without full payment. By the time I showed up at the bridal shower, they'd spent around $12,000 to get back to where they thought they were. And my parents, they paid for it. They complained the whole time, but paid. Then, as if nothing had happened, my mother left a voicemail. "You're still invited to the wedding if you want to come. It's up to you. We'd love you there." That's when I realized they didn't get it. I was going, not to celebrate, but to finish what I'd started. I knew I wasn't wanted there. It was clear the moment I walked into the venue, no greetings, no eye contact, just odd glances from distant cousins who hadn't seen me in years. I wasn't even on the seating chart. No place card had my name, and the coordinator looked at me like I'd crashed the wrong event. I took a random seat near the bar to avoid conversation. I didn't plan to stay long, but I couldn't leave without saying what I came to say. The ceremony was exactly what you'd expect from a couple more focused on Instagram poses than their relationship. She read vows that sounded like Pinterest quotes. He called her his ride or die, which got laughs from the younger guests and a confused look from our great-aunt Patricia. They kissed. Everyone clapped. I watched it all like it was someone else's dream. The reception was worse. I was seated with 3 of Jack's coworkers, one of whom leaned over and asked, "So, how do you know the groom?" I smiled and said, "I don't really." That ended the conversation. When the music started and drinks flowed, I got up to wander. My parents pretended not to see me. My mother laughed louder than necessary, and my father bragged to a vendor about how perfect the day was, despite some last-minute hiccups. I nearly laughed. Then the lights dimmed, and someone tapped a glass for speeches. Rachel's maid of honor went first, joking about sneaking vodka from their dorm fridge and calling them sisters in another life. The best man spoke about Jack's days as a player before Rachel, tamed him, not romantic, but no one cared. Then my father stood. The room fell silent. He thanked everyone, congratulated Rachel and Jack on their future, and spoke of their resilience in overcoming obstacles. He never looked at me, not when he mentioned family, not when he thanked those who went above and beyond. It was deliberate. Then the DJ announced, "If anyone else wants to say a few words, the mic is open." I stood. The room shifted. Heads turned, murmurs spread. My mother froze mid-sip. My father's jaw tightened. Rachel stared straight ahead, pretending I wasn't there. I took the mic and smiled. "Hi, everyone, I'll keep this short. I'm Noah, Rachel's older brother." Some nodded politely, others looked unsure. "This day looks amazing. The venue, the dress, the food, it's all beautiful, and none of it would have happened without someone stepping up when things nearly fell apart." Heads turned. Jack's expression changed. Rachel stared at her champagne. I offered to help quietly, paid the venue deposit, secured a dress credit, gave cash not for thanks, just to help. I put it all in a folder at her shower. I paused. She held it up, said, "Still trying to buy love," and laughed. The room went silent. That's when I realized I'd spent my life trying to be useful to people who saw me as a backup plan, so I took it all back, every cent. "Let them handle it. I hear it cost them about $12,000. Guests whispered. Some glanced at my parents. "I'm not bitter, I'm free. I'm done pretending it's okay to be mocked and then expected to pay. I won't stay silent anymore. That ends today." I nodded, handed the mic back, and walked out the side exit. One person, my grandfather, clapped. It echoed like a cough in church. My grandmother nudged him to stop, but he didn't look ashamed. He looked proud. Outside, I didn't wait for my coat. I crossed the gravel lot, got in my car, and drove home. No one followed. They showed up at my door later. My father spoke first. "You embarrassed your sister. You embarrassed this family." He didn't ask why. He said they'd decided if I wanted to act like a tantrum-throwing child, I was out of the family company. Just like that, cut off. "All right," I said, no argument. That shook him more than any fight could have. This is part 3 of my story, The Cut. After they left, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the wall. I wasn't sad or angry, just still, like a weight had lifted, leaving an empty space. Being ousted from the company should have felt like a death sentence. My father always held it over me like a crown I should be grateful for. But it came with expectations, not power. Show up, stay quiet, be useful. Calls came almost immediately. Greg, a senior company member, left a voicemail, shocked and hoping it wasn't true. He'd worked for my father for 27 years and often said I was the only one with the vision to modernize. My uncle Martin called, left no message, and hung up. My cousin Lena texted, "Whatever you said at the wedding, it needed saying." I hadn't meant to burn everything down. But seeing those faces, hearing those words, watching them erase me like a distant relative at the buffet, it all spilled out, clean and sharp. I didn't reach out or go to the office. Then a call came from an unknown number, an old investor who knew my grandfather, still holding a quiet stake in the company. He wanted to meet. We sat at a downtown diner, no suits, no papers, just coffee and blunt questions. "I heard you're out," he said. "Seems that way. Your dad's been pushing unapproved deals, breaking old agreements, taking risks to prove he's still in charge." I nodded, unsurprised. "I've known your family forever," he said. "I remember you running around the office in sneakers. You've got something they don't hear." He said he and 2 others were considering a vote to restructure the board. There'd be resistance, but if I stepped in strategically, not emotionally, there was a chance to shift things. Not just return, but lead. I didn't agree out of spite, it was clear. For the first time, I saw a life where I wasn't chasing my family's approval. I didn't want to ruin them, just stop carrying them. I started small, attending meetings, gathering data, asking questions in rooms unused to scrutiny. Resistance came fast. My father ignored me at first like I was just another vendor. Then he turned cold, dismissive, sarcastic. I didn't take the bait. I let him talk, let him perform, let others see. I wasn't after revenge. I was building a foundation. I knew when it snapped I wouldn't be the one shouting, he would, and I'd already have the upper hand. Then Jack called. I let it ring twice before answering out of curiosity. "I'm not calling to fight," he said. I stayed silent. "Rachel's spiraling. She thinks you're out to ruin her life." I almost laughed. He paused, then said, "She got fired. Used her company card to cover part of the venue, planning to pay it back before anyone noticed." Someone noticed. "It wasn't her first warning. They let her go quietly. She thinks you told them." "I didn't know," I said. "She's unraveling," he said. I didn't care as much as I thought I would. I told him if she needed someone to blame, she should look at herself. He didn't argue, just thanked me for answering and hung up. I didn't mention the call to anyone, even when I met the investors again. We had the numbers. 3 board members were ready to vote my father out as CEO for mismanagement and conflicts of interest. They asked if I'd step in, not as a figurehead, but with full control. I said yes. Someone was leaking info to my father. I found out when my mother showed up at my door, unannounced in a trench coat, holding a coffee I didn't ask for. "I know what you're doing," she said. "I know about the vote." I let her in to avoid a scene. "You're tearing everything apart to prove a point," she said. "No," I replied. "I'm fixing what he's been breaking for years. He's your father." "And I was his son," I said. "Didn't stop him from cutting me out to feel powerful." She didn't argue. She sat at my counter like she owned it, then dropped another bomb. "He had a stroke yesterday, minor but real. He didn't want you to know." For a moment, I didn't know how to feel. My body heard the words but didn't react. "Is he in the hospital?" "At home," she said. "The board can't know." That's when I realized she wasn't there as my mother. She was his envoy. She wanted me to delay the vote, give them time to spin it with sympathy. "You want me to protect him?" "Yes." I looked at her, remembering my grandmother bringing me school lunches, sitting by my bed when I was sick. Then I remembered her at the shower whispering, "Don't be sensitive, it's just her way." "The vote goes as planned," I said. "If he's too weak to face it, he shouldn't be in charge." She stood, left the coffee, and walked out without a word. She didn't slam the door, she didn't need to. That afternoon, my grandfather called. "Do it," he said. "Whatever you're planning, finish it." The vote wasn't dramatic. No yelling, no last-minute speeches. Just raised hands, steady gazes, and silence between names. 3 for 2 against. My father was out as CEO. The chair nodded to me. "Effective immediately, Noah is interim CEO." The room moved on, discussing operations, priorities, and staff announcements. I sat there, stunned by how little resistance there was, how many were already prepared. At 4:17 p.m., my father burst into the executive wing. No knock, no questions, ignoring the frozen receptionist and the assistant manager who looked away. He found me in his old office at his desk, where I used to clean up his coffee rings and scattered papers. "You smug little bastard," he said. I didn't react. "You think this is over? You think you've won?" "No," I said. "I think I stopped losing." He laughed, short and bitter. "This company runs on my name. Not anymore. You ungrateful little, I gave you everything." "No," I said quietly. "You dangled everything and called it love." His mouth tightened. Then he wobbled. I stood, ready to catch him if he fell, but he waved me off and sat in a guest chair, deflated. "This company will eat you alive," he muttered. "It always does. Then at least I'll know what I'm being eaten for." He looked around, expecting someone to step in, call it a joke, restore order, but it was just us. "You're not like me," he said. "I know." I let the silence linger, then slid a legal folder across the desk, documents of the vote, his removal, access revocation, and a courtesy clause preserving his pension. He stared at it, stood slowly, and left. That night Rachel called, no greeting, just venom. "You think this is funny? What did you do to Dad? You think humiliating him makes you strong?" I said nothing. "He's embarrassed. He can't even face Grandpa." "Do you know what you've done?" I stopped playing the part. "Oh, right," she snapped. "You're the victim, poor Noah, always giving, never appreciated." "I gave until I bled," I said. "And when I stopped, you called it war." She went quiet, then whispered, "I'm going to destroy you." "You already tried," I said. "You forgot I could fight back." She hung up. Our mother called next, just one sentence. "You should be ashamed." I hung up. The real surprise came that afternoon. An older staff member handed me a note from my grandfather. "You did what I never had the courage to do. Don't stop now. Keep the name, but change what it stands for." I kept it in the desk's top drawer. That night I stood at the office window, city lights forming a grid of possibilities. I didn't feel proud or victorious, just steady. It was enough. Weeks later, things settled. People saw me differently, not better, just different, unsure of the new boundaries. Some tiptoed, others tested me. I let them. I didn't need loyalty, just time. I cleaned house quietly, consolidated departments, reassigned redundant staff, reinstated vendors ousted unfairly. The company grew leaner, smarter, more stable. Every move was legal, documented, and dull enough to avoid gossip. But Rachel didn't stop. She went online, painting me as the villain who sabotaged her wedding, calling me emotionally abusive, greedy, jealous. Some believed her, especially her friends who resented my refusal to worship her. But I had the receipts, every invoice, email, and transfer. I sent just enough to our legal team to show she was on thin ice. She went quiet. My parents were harder to read. They didn't show up for meetings or holidays and didn't back Rachel as I expected. Something had shifted, not just toward me, but her. She'd become a liability, and they saw she had no limits, even with family. My father returned, not to my house, but the office, waiting outside one Friday evening. I braced for venom, but he just said, "Want to get a drink?" We sat at a bar 3 blocks away. He ordered whiskey, I didn't. He didn't apologize, it wasn't his way, but he didn't threaten me either. "You were right," he said finally, "just earlier than I was ready for." I said nothing. "I'm not fighting you anymore," he said, "but I won't pretend we're fine." "I don't need you to," I said. "Just don't stand in my way." He nodded, finished his drink, and left. The real end came when my grandfather passed quietly in his sleep. My grandmother called me first, her voice soft but shattered. The funeral was calm, the church full. Rachel arrived late. My mother clung to my father's arm like it was her anchor. When they asked for speakers, I stepped up, not mentioning the company, my father or sister. I spoke of my grandfather teaching me chess, letting me win until I could on my own, and the quiet between moves where you learn who you are. After the burial, my grandmother handed me a sealed package, his will. He'd transferred his shares to me months earlier. Everything was mine, formally, legally, permanently. My father said nothing. My mother looked stunned. Rachel cried and left before the final prayer. I didn't celebrate or call anyone. I went to the office the next morning, opened the windows wide, and let the silence settle. Then I started building something new on ground they said I'd never hold. Maybe they'll come around, maybe not. I stopped waiting for apologies and learned to live without them. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.